Hi, Hollywood. This is Jonna, and I'm coming to you from Berrien Springs. I'm waiting for the day we can celebrate together. I'm waiting for the Sabbath we can gather together. Not yet, but it'll come soon. And what Hollywood prides itself is that it's a community that welcomes everyone in the same spirit that Jesus welcomes each of us. How does knowing that you can be a place for someone who's experienced rejection affect you? How does it affect my behavior? Do I see others as God sees them? Movies are prayers. This is a concept that Branden used for last year's Apocalypse series, sharing moments of prayer in film. Season 2 of Pose begins with two main characters visiting a gravesite where those who can't afford a funeral are buried. Now, it's a jarring scene because even in death, it seems like this community that Pray Tell and Blanca are belonging to, they still cannot find a community. They cannot find peace. And they have a brief prayer together. It's mostly silent. And you wonder, what can you say when you don't really have any words to say? When you look ahead and you see that even in death, you don't have the peace of being remembered with dignity or respect. And it's jarring to me just because I wonder, what can you say when you have no words? And it tells a lot about our prayer when we don't have the words, when we can just surrender ourselves and surrender our hearts. And when we don't know what to say, we can just let God take what's in our hearts and know that He still hears us.
There it is.
Judy told me about this place, and I didn't believe her. She said this island used to be a tuberculosis ward. Now it's a burial site. Each one of these heart-shaped rocks represents someone buried here, left by someone left behind.
So what now?
We pray. We pray for strength to keep fighting. Yeah.
All of the dreams that haven't come true, and all of the hurt that happened to you, it matters. I hope you know it matters. You felt the pain of bitter defeat, where the weight of the grief was more bitter than sweet. It matters. I'm telling you it matters. To the one who spoke and set the sun ablaze, to the one who stopped the storm and walked the waves, to the one who took the trees so he could say, you matter. I hope you know you matter. know it's not easy, not saying it's fair, but close as a prayer, somebody cares. You're a treasure, don't you know you're treasured? So hold your head high and wait for the dawn. Keep hanging on, your sadness will turn into laughter. Watch it turn into laughter. To the one who spoke and set the sun ablaze, to the one who stopped the storm and walked the waves, to the one who took the tree so we could say, you matter. I hope you know you matter. You matter. Heaven knows you matter. So let the water spill from your eye and let it wash the wound of those lies. Oh, let the water spill from your eyes, all that you are and all that you'll be. Oh, someone put the beat in your heart so that you'll see that you matter. And to the one who spoke to set the sun ablaze, to the one who stopped the storm and walked the waves, to the one who took the tree so he could say, you matter. I hope you know you matter.
In light of recent decisions of the United States Supreme Court regarding LGBT rights and the general church's lackluster response, as a prospective employer or a current one might well wonder, just how do we weather the waves, the ups and downs of apparently outright discrimination and disdain towards us? Where do we find friends and a community of love, acceptance, and support? Have you been considering church membership where you are not just accepted, but given a real place to call home? Here we are. The Hollywood Seventh-day Adventist Church is just such a place. I returned to the church here 7 years ago, found my church home and family. I'm so happy I did, and I haven't looked back. Our general announcements today are these. We still have need for donations of clean clothing, towels, washcloths, bath soap, etc., and for our Compassion Connection ministries. We provide these in showers for our homeless friends. During this coronavirus pandemic, many lives have been lost and families have been ripped apart. Grief and severe economic strain is common. Do you need help of any kind? We are here to help. Let us know how and what we can do. We have several different kinds of helpful online services throughout the week. Feel free to avail yourself of any one of them. They are shown at the end of each of our worship services and here on our Facebook page.
Thank you, Rhonda. Well, guess what, everybody? We have a chance this morning to welcome 2 more people into membership at Hollywood Adventist Church. We were ready to welcome Yeshara in a couple weeks into the quarantine, except that wasn't really going to work, we thought. We need to be in person for this. We figured we'll wait till June. We didn't know how things were going to go. In the meantime, the leadership in the Adventist church in our area made the guideline that we could go ahead as a church board and accept members into our congregation on behalf of our entire church membership. So we've done that. And I'm so excited to introduce you to Yeshara and Jorge. They are now members of the Hollywood Adventist Church. You know Yeshara from the music that she makes on a regular basis with RJ. And Jorge is a friend of hers that came over from both of them from Glendale Adventist Church. We're so excited to have them with us. Jorge is a delight to talk with one-to-one quietly. And I hope that if you haven't met him yet, or Yeshara, that you take time to do that and reach out. Welcome, Yeshara and Jorge. And everyone else, please make them feel welcome, even though we can't hug, and leave a comment of a congratulations or virtual hug in the comments below.
When I was a kid, and sometime after, I would create tree houses. Not the kind of tree houses that you can climb in yourself, but tree houses that were tabletop. And it's something that somehow I got into my head to do, and I did it. How you make a tabletop tree house is you take a piece of wood. This is an old cutting board. So you take this, and then you take a low temp hot glue gun, and you put a dab of it on the wood, and then you take another piece of wood, maybe it's this old piece of timber that I found outside, or maybe it's a branch from a tree, a small branch, or maybe it's something else, and you stick it to that glue, and then it stays. And then on top of that, you can start using popsicle sticks like this, or you can use pieces of string, or you can use rocks that you find outside, and you can use whatever you want. You can then, after it's all crafted together into the treehouse that you want, you can start putting paint, and you can be painting like the grass, or you can paint the leaves on it, and you pretty soon you've got a whole treehouse. And I'll show you a picture that I found. This is called a photo. We used to have these. This was one of my tree houses. Isn't that elaborate? Isn't it crazy? That was my life when I was younger. What's neat about these tree houses, the things that really thrilled me, I love the building, I love the crafting of the space, but the thing that made me very excited is that I would take the little creatures that I found, maybe out of one of those little egg machines where you put the quarters in and you twist, or maybe they're little tiny toys that you picked up when you won some prizes at an arcade or something. This is a little pewter frog, and here's a little bobblehead turtle that's hand painted. Isn't that cool? And then here's like an old plaster squirrel, and then all these creatures got to live in my treehouse. Isn't that fun? But what's neat is that all these creatures come from all different areas, and they're different kinds, but yet they all live together, and they each have their own little houses, and then they would live in their different houses. There's a little basket elevator that would go up and down, and they would visit each other, and it was a great community that I got to design and build and make up in my own mind. In our church, we've decided to be a place where we get to build our own community. It might not be a tabletop tree house, but it's super fun, and I'm so glad that I get to be in it with you.
Good morning, church. It's offering time in Hollywood. I had thought about getting canned applause to reminisce about how we do offering, but it seemed a bit out of place and a bit self-serving. So alas, you get to clap in the comfort of your own home or wherever you're worshiping with us today. One of the things I love about the book of Acts is the description of the early church. Although they were small, they were mighty. They were mighty in that they were able to care for each other out of their giving of their tithes and their offerings. I believe it is important for us to find community that not only follows Christ, but also resonates with us. Through following Christ and finding communities that we resonate with, we then can build a sense of family, where not only are we able to contribute and provide for others, but in return, we are taken care of as well. I think the early church was and is an example of the Lord's Prayer on earth as it is in heaven, where everyone was part of the family, was able to contribute at some level, and still have everyone's needs taken care of, and nobody lived without, and everyone belonged. I hope that this church resonates with you, with its message that God's love is so radical and so inclusive that He is the one that will change our lives when we are in relationship with Him and we are doing as He asks us to do. And that is to love one another as we would like to be loved, and that all are welcome at the feet of Jesus. Your tithes and offerings here not only support the pastor's salary, but also help with building maintenance, supplies for the study programs, children's ministries, and other necessities such as the Compassion Connection and other outreach programs. As a reminder, there are several options to pay your tithes and offerings. You can pay online by visiting our church at hollywoodsda.org, or by mailing your check in to 1711 North Van Ness Avenue, Hollywood, California, 90028. We know that times are tough for everyone, especially during this pandemic, but God has promised to take care of us and continue to provide for us. And this is accomplished through the example of the early church through its giving. May God bless you in your giving as we build a community based upon the principles of Christ's radical love for all, and where we can all belong. Happy Sabbath.
My mama told me when I was young, we are all born superstars. She rolled my hair up, pulled my lipstick on, in the glass of her boudoir. There's nothing wrong with loving who you are, she said, 'cause He made you perfect, babe. So hold your head up, girl, and you go far. Listen to me when I say I'm beautiful in my way, 'cause God makes no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Don't hide yourself in regret, just love yourself and you're sad. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Ooh, there ain't no other way, baby, I was born this way. Baby, I was born this way. Ooh, there ain't no other way, baby, I was born this way. Baby, I was born this way. Give yourself prudence and love your friends, so we can rejoice your truth. No religion of the insecure, I must keep myself, respect my youth. A different lover is not a sin, believe capital H-I-M. Oh, yeah. All my life I love is great, good, and oh, I'm whatever ever, yeah. I'm beautiful in my way, 'cause God makes no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Don't love yourself and regret, just love yourself and you're sad. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Oh, there ain't no
I invite you to listen to stories. We've already heard a few, even in the music. I've always been profoundly moved by the way Jesus treated people, and I'm equally as moved by a God who's created such variety on planet Earth. I watched the series Pose and I saw reflections of God. Please pray with me. Dear God, thank you for making each of us so creatively and uniquely special. We are all so different from one another, but somehow we also reflect you. Give us ears to hear you in the stories of others. In Jesus' name, amen. Take a step back in time with me, just for a bit. In 1987, I was 20 and a student at an Adventist college, an occupational therapy turned social work major with dreams of becoming a marriage and family therapist one day. I no longer lived in either of these two houses in Connecticut where I was raised. Outside of my bubble, other things were happening. Aretha Franklin was the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Typhoon Nina devastated the Philippines. Our nation celebrated the 200th anniversary of the U.S. Constitution, and Prozac made its debut. Jessica McClure fell down a well in Midland, Texas, and was later rescued. The Unabomber set off 2 bombs in Salt Lake City. President Reagan acknowledged that his overtures to Iran had deteriorated into an arms for hostages deal. And finally, in Charlotte, North Carolina, televangelist Jim Bakker resigned after admitting to an affair with church secretary Jessica Hahn. That was news I was aware of. However, unbeknownst to me, an underground subculture referred to as houseball community and other similar names was thriving in New York City. That is the setting for season 1 of the FX series Pose, created by Ryan Murphy in 2018. The series looks at the juxtaposition of several segments of life and society in New York: the rise of the luxury universe, the downtown social and literary scene, and the ball culture world. Let's watch this clip from season 1, episode 1, in which Blanca invites Damon to join her house.
Like that. What's your name?
Damon.
A pleasure. I'm Blanca. So, how does someone as talented as you wind up dancing for a whole bunch of junkies? You want to be a professional dancer, right?
I want to be a star.
Don't we all, honey? You ever consider joining a house?
What do you mean?
Well, a house is the family you get to choose. I'm a house mother. I provide a support system for my children and housing if you need it. Together we compete in the bars uptown. And you know, I've been looking to adopt a child with your dancing abilities.
I mean, I have bigger dreams of performing at some ball. I came here to perform in a real dance company. I'm not like you, I'm sorry. My dreams are real.
Oh, so you think your dreams are more real than mine?
So what exactly is a ball?
Balls are a gathering of people who are not welcome to gather anywhere else. A celebration of a life that the rest of the world does not deem worthy of celebration. There are categories. People dress up for them. Walk. There's voting, trophies.
Oh, can you make money?
Better than money. You can actually make a name for yourself by winning a trophy or 2. And in our community, the glory of your name is everything.
Blanca said, "A house is a family you get to choose." When I first heard that, I thought of that phrase, "Friends are family we choose ourselves." But as I continued to watch, it was clear this went deeper. Watch this next clip of Blanca when she had just arrived on the ball scene and met Electra, the woman who would be her mother before she eventually left and formed her own house.
Can I be honest with you? I don't think I'll ever be as real as you. No one questions you or looks at you like they do me. But I do want to be seen and respected as a woman. That's who I see myself to be.
You think I just woke up one day and poof, I look like this? No, it takes work, drive, sacrifice to be a woman. You have something rarer than beauty, though. You have heart, and you're not afraid to lead with it. That quality will get you everything. Now, what is it you want, my child?
I don't want to be cold again. And I don't want to be laughed at again. I want to be real.
You're coming home with mother. Check, please.
Wait, you want to be my mother?
No. I am your mother.
Both Blanca and her house son Damon had left or been kicked out of their Christian, Puerto Rican, and Black homes. The house families in the house ball community took the place of their birth families. My friend Sel is an educator, and I've asked them to share a little bit about what they've learned about house ball communities, which still exist today.
Pose is based on what is known as the ball community or the house ball community, which started in Harlem in the 1920s and is still going on today. I was able to conduct research for a number of years on the ball community in New York City because I was studying HIV risk among trans feminine people in that city. I found the ball community to be really inspiring, very interesting, and motivating in many different ways.
Social creativity is one key aspect of the ball community. The ball community utilizes social creativity in many different forms and ways. So, for example, the ball community started in 1920s in Harlem by young gay men and trans feminine spectrum people who had been kicked out of their families for being gay and trans. And they formed alternative families called houses. Another aspect of the ball community is what is known as thick trust. And this is a type of social capital that is considered a bonding capital, where there is a lot of emphasis on people sharing with each other, creating emotional trust with each other, really being in each other's lives. And so there's a foundation of trust and understanding that undergirds the ball community. So resiliency is another core aspect of the ball community. And researchers have really seen a lot of resiliency in the ball community, which I would define as not only a strength, but a flexible strength, an ability to really bounce back from hardships that one encounters in life. So researchers have seen that a lot of ball members develop a lot of resiliency and overcome or bounce back an immense array of hardships that they face in their lives. And something that researchers are really interested in is how to bolster the resiliency that's already in the ball community to create an even higher quality of life for people in the ball community.
So to summarize, social creativity, big trust, and resiliency are three main aspects of the ball community. It's really interesting with Pose as a series to see the ball community represented in this series. And for the most part, I would say that it is accurate. It's also really interesting that we have this series that is now run over multiple seasons in which the main characters are low-income gay and trans people of color. And this is something we don't usually see in the media.
Thanks, Sel. I want to comment on the effect of AIDS on this community. They had very little to no access to good health care, and that becomes a significant focus of season 2, set in 1990, as the characters start attending more AIDS fundraisers and funerals. The characters in Pose were lucky to have found a friend in Nurse Judy, a rarity in the cold and harsh environment of unfunded charitable health care. When Pray Tell and Blanca went to pay respects and to remember their friend Keenan, the woman who greeted them at the gravesite was less than welcoming. It was clear that Keenan was just another number to her. My friend Andrea has this to say about advocacy and access to healthcare.
Hello, my name is Andrea. I'm from Europe, from Germany, and I consider myself to be a very flexible European person. The TV series Pose is for me very important and a real heartwarming project. I'm glad Kirsten told me about it. Since ever then, I never stopped watching it. And it relates to my working life. I work since 25 years as a nurse, as a lecturer, and as an advocate in patient care. And I still love my job. I think it's a wonderful job to be fortunate to listen to patient stories, how they feel treated from hospital staff or in hospital environment. I believe that working as an advocate is like a heartwarming project, like in Pose. And I felt very early on it's important to be there for patients who belong to the LGBT community or who suffer from HIV. I remember 25 years ago, it was not so easy for this patient. I remember the first transgender person coming for surgery. People were mean and people didn't accept it. People didn't accept the HIV patient. And many things since then have changed, and I'm very happy about it. Since 2011, I work as an advocate and lecturer and give a clear message out that it is important that we tell our patients that we create a safe space in hospital and in the hospital environment, that we educate our nurses and doctors and our nursing students that we need to be there and create safe spaces. I think Pose sets a very important and clear message for us today, and I will continue to watch it.
Social creativity, thick trust, and resiliency are what carried members of this community through so much of what they faced on a daily basis. I'd like to share with you 2 more clips from Pose, back to back, both reflecting these important values. The first clip shows Pray Tell encouraging Blanca and her adopted children after they didn't win a ball competition, reminding them of why they were there. The second clip shows Damon telling his house family, who'd grown by one more, that he got into dance school.
You want a reason to keep going on after tonight? There it go, right there. Houses are homes to all the little boys and girls who never had one. And they keep coming every day, just as sure as the sun rises. Pull up. Work harder. Triumph. If not today, maybe tomorrow.
I'd be dead if it weren't for you. Another day in the park and I would have went with anybody for some food, done anything. Got in.
Did I not tell you he was gonna get in?
I saw so very much as I went through the series, as I went through my own research, and as I talked to my friends. I invited some of those friends today so that you hear more than my cisgender straight voice. I don't have enough time to go through all that I learned. I've placed plenty of resources for you to take a look at yourself. If you'd like to, after this worship service or sometime in the future. The listing for those resources is at the end of this worship service and is also posted on our Facebook post with all the announcements. I'm going to expound on a few here. A friend of mine who some of you might know, Deneen Akers, wrote a book designed for families called Holy Troublemakers and Unconventional Saints. It's a great book, even if your kids are adults by now. It's really designed to help expose kids to all kinds of inspiring people, not all of whom may fit your idea of what God's followers look like. One of those stories that resonated deeply with me is that of a female pastor named Kate Christensen Martin, whose view of mothering is an action. Between this book and watching Blanca and even her friend Pray Tell, I saw this expanded vision of mother. So I'd like to take a few minutes to read with you a portion of the part in the book about Kate. So sit back and listen as I read a page or so. Kate Christensen Martin is a pastor with a powerful vision of how mothering will save the world. Most of us hear the word mother and picture a woman holding a child. But when Kate talks of being a mother and mothering, she includes everyone. She believes in the incredible love mothers have for their children, but she also uses mothering as a verb, like running or singing. Mothering is an action. Mothering is the act of nurturing someone else and fiercely protecting that person's core essence so that person can flourish. With that definition of motherhood, anyone of any gender can be a mother. In fact, Kate likes to point out that Jesus, whom Christians believe is the best example we have of what God is really like, acted as a mother. Jesus touched those who were sick and hurting. He took time to stop whatever he was doing to listen to people, especially people who had been overlooked or even rejected by their own families and religious leaders. He taught that God cared most about how we treated each other. And at times, Jesus was a mama bear looking out for those the culture of his day wanted to hurt. Jesus was a man who mothered the world, Kate often says. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and pick up a copy for yourself and read the rest. The book is great. You know, as a mother of my own transgender daughter, Eowyn, talking with her about her future desire to be a mother to someone one day, watching Blanca and reading about Kate has created space for Eowyn and I to envision that future. So, on to one more resource. I ran into this wonderful article by someone, it's called The Theology of Evangelista, and it's written by a research fellow at Potsdam University, a Chinese gentleman named Zhairong Zhang. He wrote that Poes could have chosen to focus on the hatred in the world from political and religious communities that drove this community together. He wrote that Poes instead adopted, perhaps surprisingly, the language of Christian theology. Blanca named her house House of Evangelista. Now, all houses seem to come up with names. That was hers. Blanca evangelized faith and the improvement of living conditions for her community. And then there's hope. Poes does not try to win cheap sympathy by showing the pain of others as spectacle. Queer and trans people of color are not merely victims of discrimination and repression. They are protagonists of the story whose struggles are fought not only with dignity but with glamour. At the end of season 1, Blanca wins the coveted Mother of the Year trophy in the ballroom. Pray Tell describes her qualities in theological language. Blanca has saved many a soul lost in darkness. Simply by shining her light, I know that this is true because that is how she saved mine. That light is love, and it's spelled charity. And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity. 1 Corinthians 13:13. We believe in a God who time and again chose people, ordinary people, but also people from the dregs of society, to do extraordinary things. Jesus gathered a group together, a house of sorts, the disciples. In creating that group, he passed over the elite, aristocratic, and influential men of the day to those who had less respect and value in the eyes of their fellow humans. But I'd like to stop talking for a few minutes. My friends Leslie and Alex also watched the series Pose. And for them, it was a different experience than I. It really resonated with their own lived experience. I want you to take a listen to what's important to them and their needs, how they feel about God and community. And right after that, we're going to watch the last clip from Pose, in which Blanca goes to her mother's funeral. She experiences reactions from her birth family and from her adopted house family and her friend Pray Tell.
Pose was a revelation for me. Not a massive epiphany, but a quiet, beautiful dawning of something special. It became a time machine that allowed me to see my elders, the Black and brown queer folks who came before. I felt like the show gave me a chance to sit at the feet of so many that we lost to AIDS, including members of my own family. There is a beautiful holiness in each episode, from the intensity of the balls to the gathering of chosen family, all this creativity and love woven together. In ways that I will never fully have words for, I felt more whole, as if I had found a part of myself, a part of my lineage I hadn't realized existed before. This, to me, is the deep holy magic that is found through art, and I'm so incredibly grateful for all the minds that work together to make Pose a reality.
I genuinely appreciate the idea that family is the people who are there for you, not just blood relations. That means also because even though my parents are supportive and they've been there for me, my extended family hasn't always been there. And that has not been the most helpful in terms of my own mental health. I definitely know, like, some of my uncles, they used to say things that were deeply hurtful, thinking that it was helping, and that is without even me being out to them. And that can do a lot of damage to your psyche, and without even realizing it, how much I was internalizing what other people who were supposed to be there for me said. And it is hard to find your place in the world where you don't see yourself reflected in the idea of the world. I didn't think there was any place for me anywhere. I was this quirky, nerdy, non-binary child who didn't even have the words to say what that was, and I was always told what I was wrong. I was always told what I liked was wrong. And it wasn't until I found the people who actually told me it's okay to be you, and it's okay to be flamboyant and outspoken and proud of something you're always told to be ashamed of, that I truly found myself. And I definitely appreciate that. And I think having something like Pose is definitely something that I wish younger me had. And I appreciate that other people have it now. But I also appreciate that I also have found my own place in real life, not just on television and in terms of representation, but people who make me feel that sense of belonging that I never had before. It's my friends, it's people in this very church. And I think mostly when it comes to religion, I think we often forget the idea of loving your neighbor and being there for them. And particularly when it comes to queer and LGBT folks, the church hasn't been the best of places. And I think we need to kind of reevaluate what it means to be Christian and what it means to truly love one another and what it means to be in the family of God.
It's good. It's good, sweet.
I can't believe Mateo grew up to be a transvestite. Pobrecito needs a better wig.
A child lost her mother today, and I would expect someone who espouses the word of the Lord to have a little bit more compassion. She's not defined by that wig on her head any more than you are by that frizzy perm.
I couldn't have done it. I would have been too scared. You maintain your dignity, and I'm proud of you.
It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. Let it out.
Yo, I can call my homeboy to jump whoever you want for like a Benjamin's. I'm for real.
No, we good. We all good.
Mateo,
My name is Blanca now.
Blanca. There's a gathering at your mother's after the wake. You should come. Have some food.
Well, that was a lot to hear, wasn't it? There were a lot of people with a lot of responses in that last pose clip. Who is it that you think reflected God in their response to Blanca? The time in which she said goodbye to her mother. Let's sing our closing song this morning. Listen to the words of the song as you sing them. It might be new to you, but nobody hears you singing it, right? So it's like singing in the shower. But seriously, listen to the music with the stories that you've heard this morning and imagine who it is that you want to be to reflect God's love to in your community, in your church, in your neighborhood, at work, in your family. Who is it that God calls you to be?
If you're getting over 85, you fell for your whole life when God made you. He just messed up. If you've been raised a Southern belle, born and bred for show and tell, but you lie down feeling never good enough, I'm so sorry how it's been. We're broken artists with broken pens. We paint our pride and call it true. I'm sorry no one explained Jesus to you. If you've heard a knock on your front door, but all that you found on your porch was a pastor that just wanted to be right. And if you really want to pray to him, never sure he's listening, 'cause who could forgive you what you did last night? I'm so sorry what you've heard. We're broken poets with silly words. We paint agendas, call it truth. I'm sorry no one explained Jesus to you. Oh, can't you feel him in the room? All he wants is you. Oh, you. I'm so sorry for all the wrongs. We're broken singers with broken songs. We paint our pride and call it truth. I'm sorry no one explained Jesus to you. I'm sorry no one explained Jesus to you. I'm sorry no one explained Jesus to you.
Please pray with me. Dear God, help us to recognize how fully you love and value your creation. May we experience your nurturing love so deeply that we can't help but extend it to others, show compassion, and welcome another with open arms. We can't help but discover Jesus at work in people we don't understand and in unexpected places. Amen.